Are you recording this? Because this is like the cold open bit, right? What we'll do to solve that problem is, have you ever seen Wayne's World?
Right.
And they get sponsored and they suddenly hear a voiceover that says, Wayne's World is sponsored by Noah's Arcade. Party on Wayne and party on Garth. And that is exactly what we'll do.
Hello, everybody, and very warm welcome to Sage Savvy, our Sage particular podcast that had one pilot, went very well, and we thought, how do we get the pilot to be even better and get this, more energetic than before? We only came to Sage, haven't we? We've come along.
We have. We needed to find somewhere with a better view, or an equivalent at least view, as the one from the TCS office, and we could only really think of Tower Bridge, basically.
Yeah.
And that's where we've ended up.
Yeah. And then we thought, well, we need to get a guest that's of epic proportions. Like, if we want this podcast to go anywhere, we need to think, like, who's the best? Who in our eyes is Mr. Sage, maybe Mr. MTD?
And you really, you already know exactly who we're about to introduce, but it's a man who travels more than anyone else up and down the country that I've ever met. It's a man who has more Sage branded clothing than anyone I've ever met, including trainers, including socks. Some even say somewhere he's got a Sage tattoo, but we'll leave that up to rumours and whispers on the internet.
That's an after-hour podcast, that one.
I know. If you haven't guessed who are we talking about, it's only the one and only Chris Downing.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me today.
Welcome to your office.
Yeah. Well, this is your podcast. Yeah.
I think we need to go with the elephant in the room here. We've been to some amazing podcasts, some amazing offices, and this is your chance to brag. How cool is this office?
This office is amazing. I had the chance to spend a whole week here last month, and it's so good. I always want to move from the southwest to London. It's like when people want to think, well, what's the benefit of working in an office? It's when you have the right environment. It's being with people, but the experience, and as you've walked around it, it's just such a cool place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely one you want to work at, right? Like, it's got that feel about it.
So you actually spent a whole week in one place?
Yeah, amazing. I did do several events in that week in London, but there we go, yes.
But all in London?
All in London, yeah.
No little 5-minute jaunts to, Aberdeen or anything?
No, not at all, no. Did do Newcastle the week after, but that's it, yeah.
Revolutionary for Chris, double digits driving Downing.
Brilliant. Right, we couldn't have you on the show, Mr. MTD himself, without starting with this little change in the tax law called MTD. You've probably be aware of it, and you've probably spoke about it a few times. But now it's finally out there in the ether. How are you feeling? How do you feel like the preparation has been worth it? Do you feel like everything's going the right way? Do you think Sage is in a good place? Talk to us how you feel.
Well, where do we start? Well, MTD is now happening. And when we say it's happening, it's a case where we're all waiting to actually perform and feel what's that first quarter actually look like. As we see, accountants and bookkeepers are still onboarding their clients, getting them registered. We're still seeing people are still undecided what piece of software should they use. Because I think one of the realities with MTD is small businesses, they're actually complex despite their size.
Yeah.
They all behave quite differently.
Yeah.
Therefore, MTD is all about creating better habits, improved behaviours, greater engagement, and also actually resetting how do they do their bookkeeping. Because we just take the records once a year and just make it work. Now we need to do this more regularly. So I think the hard work has paid off. It's like every technology vendor, lots of accountants have been doing a lot of education and awareness around MTD for quite some time. And as it is, it's a complex world of legislation to actually land first of all. So the education's out there, still a few queries to be answered.
Yeah.
But from Sage's point of view, we always knew this was going to be a really big theme. And when you think about providing the right solutions, every business is slightly different. Every accountant bookkeeper wishes to work slightly differently as well. So when we think about this biggest change, we thought, let's provide choice in the solutions
100%.
available. And that's what we've done. Sage will provide a huge number of choices for small business owners, accountants and bookkeepers to use. But more importantly, be a little bit more innovative and consider where the bookkeeping should actually take place as well.
I love that because you've definitely covered the whole spectrum, right? And I think that's unique in this industry. If you look at other vendors and everything else, they've gone for particular niches, or they've decided to go down a particular avenue, or they've looked for a particular type of client, or whatever it's going to be. It feels like with the Sage offering, pretty much every spectrum of that offering, there's something there for everyone, right?
Very much so. We could have easily just said, oh, we'll just have another plan of Sage accounting, and that's what you're going to have.
Yeah.
But as we know, and as we're seeing more businesses on board with MTD, the feedback, the stories is basically validating our direction, which we took 3 years ago. Because 3 years ago, we launched Sage Individual, which is now Sage Sole Trader. It was a free solution then, and it's still a free solution now for the most simplest businesses, as well as a paid for tier. But the key thing with that is easy, simple onboarding for those who have never used technology before. So it needs to be intuitive, like opening up an Apple app for the very first time. You get on and start using it. But it's also bringing to life the latest technology.
Yeah.
So Sage Copilot, encouraging people to start to hook up their first bank account, auto categorization. So, and also now being able to be paid instantly on your mobile phone, tap to pay. So all these pieces of technology is actually what small business owners want. Now, but the thing is, that's a bookkeeping ledger. And I think one of the key things we're really proud of is thinking a little bit broadly. And where do most businesses start doing business? It's actually in their banking app. And when you consider some of the friction which accountants and bookkeepers experience when they onboard their new client, their prospect, and that prospect is probably turning up 9 months, maybe 15 months in their business journey, you have to start doing that bookkeeping, don't you?
A really common one is someone who's started their business and thought, oh no, I don't need a bookkeeper and I don't need to worry about an accountant, and I'm just going to do it all myself and it'll be fine. And, you know, to be fair to them, some of them are really, really good at making sure that they've categorized all their transactions in the bank and they've added receipts and everything like that. But getting that data out again can often be, a lot of the neobanks have offered that kind of service for ages, but then there's no way to download it.
No.
So then they've got to sit there with their phone and go back through 9 months of transactions and manually open every receipt and save it to that, and then send it to you and then download and it's endless. So trying to get them at the beginning of that journey it just makes sense, right? And I think, I mean, obviously we want to hear a little bit more from you today about the embedded services, because those are super interesting. And I think the fact that it's not just one bank.
No.
So Sage haven't gone, oh, you know, we're best mates with Barclays, and if you use any other bank, forget it, which is what certain other software has certainly done. Or you've also seen some banks acquire bookkeeping solutions to embed into their platform. Whereas what Sage have done is, I mean, you can tell us the list, but I think there's obviously HSBC UK, SumUp. SumUp is massive. Like, it's one of the easiest accounts. You can open a SumUp account on your phone in about 5 minutes without even any ID until you've transacted over a certain amount, and you're trading straight away. So getting those people hooked in straight away is massively beneficial when they then decide, oh, actually, I can't do this myself. I do need a bookkeeper, or I do need an accountant.
Yeah, and SumHub is a brilliant example where it's more than just traditional banks. It's actually those platforms. Those platforms where small businesses are actually doing business, where they may not have a huge number of payments or other financial transactions, but they've got a huge volume of income transactions, which are actually quite complicated, especially if you may be having charges taken at source. And this is one of the challenges of using a bank as your primary source of income, is because it may be omitting maybe the charges at source, and you spend more time in terms of the bookkeeping to get the right source of turnover. So that experience is key, but there's also the fact that Sage is working with a multiple of partners to give that best trusted experience.
And that's where MTD was always going to have its criticism, was it? It's those clients who have that slightly complex, where, you know, they might be selling on eBay or whatever platform or whatever it's going to be, but the barrier of entry for them for just feeling confident and comfortable and just, you know, embracing MTD was those bits you're talking about, right? So being able to hit them right in the jugular and being able to fix those sort of things for them is the key to making MTD a success, right?
And really, the whole point of MTD is improving basic bookkeeping, but also giving visibility of the financial situation of those small businesses. So it's all about financial health. And when you consider a lot of people, they start off their business, they don't think about the idiosyncrasies of bookkeeping, but actually if they're actually doing trading, capturing information in a sensible manner, continuous manner, they're actually getting confidence in terms of how their business is performing. And also when they do engage an accountant or bookkeeper, they possibly have less anxiety in terms of what information they're sharing.
Yeah.
It may not be perfect, but at least most of the work's already been performed, and therefore it's the accountant or bookkeeper to collaborate, amend, fix, and provide guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
So then what we want to hear about really is what's the upgrade path, right? Because we know at the moment there isn't one, because not a direct one, because the Sage Embedded Services stuff is brand new. What are the plans, or how much can you tell us about the plans? Because I know there will be plans, but some of the plans might be top secret. How much can you tell us about what ultimately, you look 3 years into the future, someone starts their business, they open an account with SumUp, they get Sage Embedded Services right there, then they grow, they get to the point where they're going to engage a bookkeeper, they're going to start doing more complex things. What's their upgrade path then going to be? Is it straight to SPCA? Are there options? Because, you know, let's not forget, like Sage 50 Cloud that we'll come back to exists. And I don't think a lot of people realise that you can do MTD submissions from within Sage 50. They don't realise that Copilot's included. We still get people all the time going, oh, God, you're still on Sage 50. God, do you want to come into the future and learn about bank feeds? It's like, well, there are bank feeds. Like, bank feeds work all over the place. So yeah, it'd just be great to hear a bit more about like what the ultimate goal is.
So to avoid, let's say, doing the big reveal, which is actually a context to the theme, it would not be a stretch for the imagination in terms of what the experiences be for accountants or bookkeepers. Because if you imagine if you have a small business owner, if they're using Monzo, HSBC, SumUp, Tide, Barclays maybe in the near future, it's the case of they would be performing some data processing, some categorization. They may even performed 1 or 2 MTD quarterly updates, and then suddenly realize, I'm getting stuck. I need some help and advice. So rather than, let's say, the traditional way, which most agents consider is I need to open up a subscription, I need to connect the bank feed and bring some information in and see where the cutoff is. That doesn't exist. No more bank feeds. So if you imagine the experiences should be a seamless workflow and onboarding by the agent, the accountant, bookkeeper. They go into Sage for Accountants, they connect with their client, no matter what their solution they're using, and be able to see the data uniformly, no matter what the underlying ledger is, and start to collaborate and edit, no matter what it is. So no more bank feeds, instantaneous collaboration, review, edit, support, quarterly updates. It's a game changer.
100%. And you're not allowed to say this, obviously, so I can say it on your behalf, but you've basically fixed open banking. That's how I see it, right?
You can say that if you wish.
Yeah. You know, that was the promise of what open banking was going to be, right? Like, it's having that frictionless experience. And what you're telling us there is what we as accountants and bookkeepers want, especially with this new MTD era. You know, we're calling them DIY clients. Everyone's going to have their own term for them, right? But those really small clients who they just want their hand holding. Like, these aren't major expensive like fee earners or anything like that. They just want a bit of support. They just want an accountant / bookkeeper to just help them along the line, right?
They want you to have a look and tell you if they've done it wrong quite often.
Yeah.
And if they have done it wrong, what you would have done.
Yeah.
So that they can do it correctly next time. There's that type of client is like bread and butter for a lot of accountancy firms and a lot of not so much bookkeepers, because bookkeepers, that's where we come in and then we do that job. But still, we've got plenty of clients where they're effectively a month-end check. We're just keeping an eye on them to help them make sure that they're on the right track, ready for the end of the year.
100%. And it's not that these big fee earners are going to be our target clients or anything like that. These are the clients we need to help bring the next generation of accountants and bookkeepers in, right? That's what I put my juniors onto, is those type of clients, because that's where they're going to cut their teeth on it, right? And if we ignore all that, which a lot of the accounting industry is kind of doing because they're a bit scared of this MTD world, or the worst phrase I've heard is, well, this embedded service is all that's taking our jobs. Because that's the phrase that's been bandied around, which is complete nonsense, obviously. But I feel like this is what the industry needs. We need to be able to the foundation, the building blocks. Because surely, if we can get this MTD world right, that can build into the rest of the.
Well, you look at the bigger
industry,
picture.
right?
It's all about improving UK PLC, improving productivity, allowing business owners to spend more time on their businesses and less on bookkeeping, have the confidence in their numbers, having visibility of an estimated tax liability. I know it won't be perfect as an estimate, but imagine if they're using the banking apps, which have savings pots, they see a live estimate of their tax liability. That's how much I should be saving. So when it does come to that confirmed tax liability, it's no longer scrabbling around. I just put it in my pot, pay for the taxes, and think about how much cash I've either got to draw out for my own personal situation or invest into the business.
And if we're eliminating the bank fee desk or whatever we're going to call it, right, pots shouldn't be scared of anymore. Because at the moment, as bookkeepers and accountants, we're like, I love the concept of pots, I love the idea of pots, but I hate the execution of it and I hate having to deal with it, right?
Well, it depends. I don't know. It depends on the bank.
It does depend on the bank.
So,
but you know what bookkeepers and accountants are like. They want the easy route. So they'll go, oh, it's easy. You stop using that really cool functionality because that's causing me problem, right? Where we know the accountant, the client, they should be using it.
And this is only because if anyone isn't quite sure why we hate them so much, it's because the pots function like separate savings accounts, but they don't have bank feeds.
Yeah.
So you end up with, you need to import a CSV, you need to do it manually, or with some banks, you need to just work it out from what's gone in and out of the main account. And then if you've got transfers between pots, forget it, you're stuffed.
Or the payment from the pot, which is the worst scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything that can help eliminate anything like that. Look, embedded services is not taking anyone's job, just like AI hasn't taken any of our jobs yet, and probably will continue to not do so.
And just imagine there'll be fewer surprises. You spend less time actually asking for information from 6-9 months ago, but have access to information now, validate what's going on.
Yeah.
Imagine those pre-year-end meetings where it's actually guessing what we should be doing with the client. You actually have access to information. It's a game changer in terms of how accountants and bookkeepers will be spending their time in a world where time is a finite commodity.
Yeah.
I've never known a profession so busy. It's not just MTD, it's payroll and benefits of kind. It's the constant changes at company's house, good and bad. It's the client demands are increasing. Plus also accountancy firms and bookkeepers are considering, how do I use AI in my practice? They need to carve out capacity for that.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, we want to spend our time on what matters, not spending on time on rekeying information or correcting information.
100%. Now that MTD's live, and I know we've not got a final declaration or we've not got our first submission, so there's still going to be enough thing. But what are we calling you after MTD is done? Because you are Mr MTD, so
We wasn't always Mr MTD.
yeah, we still need something.
We can go back to his we can go back to his holding name.
I could be an accountant.
He's going to go for his third ever job, and it's going to be your job. Cool. But there's well, actually, I mean, like, we're not, this podcast is not meant to be an advert, obviously, and I'm not going to let Chris plug anything else. But what I've always really liked about Sage is, so these like roadshow events that Sage do, although they are Sage branded and they're put on by Sage, and someone's going to be there to say, hey, do you want to have a look at SPCA? They don't feel like an advert. You can go to these free events that Sage put on, and the next round is it's all AI basically, isn't it? But already when we're talking about AI in bookkeeping and accounting, it's already different. The conversation is already completely different to a year and a half, 2 years ago. A year and a half, 2 years ago, it was all chat to your assistant like it's a human. And, we said at the time, we saw limited uses for that, but we really liked the idea that for a trainee, they can ask, okay, where do I find a list of who owes us money? And then they can learn from that. That's still in place. But now the way AI is moving and developing, it's doing a lot more of the boring stuff, basically, and it's allowing us to spend more time with our clients and actually get them data quicker, check it quicker, make sure it's accurate. And so all the Sage roadshows about AI that are either, depending on when this goes out, coming up or have recently happened.
There's always going to be
or series number 2.
Yeah.
Or series number 2. But the thing you can always rely on with Chris Downing is that there'll be something and he'll be in the middle of it. And we'll see what that is.
What's next for Chris Downing? I'm an accountant. I geek out on legislation and I geek out on trying to use technology to save time. So if you imagine, we've got those themes of payroll and benefits of kind. We've got e-invoicing, which is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Plus also company's house changes. Let's just put that one to one side. That's almost business as usual. But AI is the theme.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of what Sage has delivered in respect of product and technology and innovation with Sage Copilot, but now the agents and how they're being brought to life. And it really demonstrates how our 40 years of experience in the profession, plus also the conversations we have with accounts of bookkeepers to truly understand what you do, to build agents which actually provide value. And then it's the secondary theme to that. How do accounts bookkeepers adopt and bring AI into their practice? It's not about Sage tools.
Yeah.
It's about the education, the practicalities, the adoption, the scalability. Where will your practice be in 2 or 3 years' time? So with the AI roadshows, this is definitely not a Sage pitch. It's a practical half-day themed work in terms of education and awareness, showcasing how you use a variety of different tools, a few, let's say, wow moments, but also it's a case of what firms should be doing right now with AI, and it just gives people the confidence of what to do next.
Love that. Love that.
So one of the places you wouldn't expect to find AI and wouldn't expect to find MTD is everybody's favourite. Now, if you're about my age, when you first learned to do bookkeeping, if you did a course, if you did ICB, if you did AAT, if you just did your local college's learn how to do bookkeeping course, you probably got a free trial version of Sage 50.
Yep.
Or maybe Sage Instant Accounts, but usually Sage 50. And all we've heard for the last few years is, oh my God, Sage 50, you're using that, you're a dinosaur. Get onto some sort of cloud platform straight away. But Copilot is in Sage 50, and Sage 50 is, there's changes afoot.
Very much so. And like you, I absolutely loved Sage 50, still do. I was really one of those experts who literally do anything with it, data in, data out report. And it's the confidence. No matter what the client type was, they would be excellent for those clients. However, we recognize the fact that there are some clients who are wishing to grow out of Sage accounting, and Sage Intacct may be a bit of a leap for them, and they want that native cloud experience. So Sage 50 Cloud is going to be a proper tangible theme which you'll be seeing over the next couple of months.
Nice.
So we've got an early adopter program taking place right now, with hopefully a sort of general release sort of during the summer. But really, this is Sage 50 in the cloud, supported in an Azure Microsoft hosted experience, so you can access it anywhere on any device. But also, more importantly, it's improving the experience. We're very much focused on Sage Home, which is basically that single place where every business as well as accountant can actually collaborate and engage with our technology, interact with our agentic workflows and get the information they need. So it's really going to be scaling up and bringing Sage 50 in a completely different area over the next couple of years. But more importantly, it's supporting accountants, bookkeepers and business owners who want something a little bit more than what they currently have already today.
I love that. And I mean, we spoke in the pilot at Lem, didn't we, of how Sage was mine as well, like the first love, the first solution there. And it didn't dawn on me on that one, but we just had recently had this buyout, and we've got most clients on cloud, but we do have a couple still on the Sage 950. And they're loving it. They're having a great time. You know, there's no point in trying to move them because they're comfortable and everything else until we need to do due diligence for them. And suddenly, and due diligence, I don't know if it's with every practice in the world, but in ours, due diligence is normally something that someone like myself or, you know, some of the senior team members will deal with, because it's so ad hoc that it's difficult to train up the team to understand really what to do and everything else. And it needs that extra pair of eyes. So suddenly I'm having to get this old laptop out to install Sage, because I'm a Mac user, right? So, you know, it's just those pain points getting in to get to there. So the idea of that in the cloud.
I mean, it's the fact as well that not only will this not mean, because a lot of people have like drank the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
They've run their business on Sage 50 and especially in small scale manufacturing more than anywhere else.
Yeah, your booms and all that sort of stuff.
They've run their business on Sage 50 for many years, even decades, and then they've slowly become convinced that actually we do need to be more cloud based, so we can access it remotely properly, so we've got synchronous data, etc., all the benefits. But then they've moved to a cloud solution, usually a blue collared one, with 9 or 10 different add-ons. And we're constantly told that the strength of certain software is their ecosystem. And that can be true, but it can also be a downside. Because if they've come from a place where they were doing everything in Sage 50, and suddenly to get their day-to-day work done, they're having to log into 5 different apps, and they're also having to make sure things are synced correctly, that there's no broken connections, all that kind of thing. For companies that I've spoken to before, some of them really felt like that was a downgrade, right? We've just, similar with QBD, QuickBooks Desktop, which has gone the other way, they're completely retiring it. There's people that are absolutely loath to move off of it onto any solution, because not because they don't want it in the cloud, but because they want that functionality all in one place. So this not only stems that tide of people leaving Sage 50 when they don't really want to, it actually gives a step up on that upgrade path from SPCA to 50 and then maybe to Intacct later. Whereas at the moment, that jump between Business Cloud and Intacct is just too much for most people.
Very much so. And this is the point, is businesses always goes back my normal message. T-shirt size the solution based upon the client's needs. Give them a bit of growth. And this is what it enables people to do. Get confident, not put too much risk into actually going into a product which may be too big for them. they get used to what they're doing, improve their workflows, but more importantly, connect with the right solutions they need. And I think this is just showing Sage at its best. Identifying a problem, identifying an opportunity, and being innovative and thinking about how we can actually solve it properly.
Love that.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Well, you were our first cool friend and set that series off to where it is now.
He's got the only Cool Friends t-shirt.
You've got the only Cool Friends t-shirt that was out there. You've been our first guest on Sage Savvy. So from a personal point of view, thank you very much for coming along. Thank you for
Been my
gracing us
pleasure.
with your presence.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to plug, talk about, tell anyone? The floor is yours.
You've got that camera.
That camera.
Which camera shall I go for? Well, let's just consider. I think the key thing with Sage is Sage effectively has a solution for everyone. But more importantly, this is why it's so important. My message has always been for the last couple of years with people getting more ready for MTD, thinking about digitization, is to be inquisitive. As accountants and bookkeepers, we always want to think about what's happening behind, let's say, the door in the next room, thinking what our different solutions are able to do. And this is why I would always encourage you to be inquisitive, explore what Sage actually has to offer, and actually invest some time to actually understand actually it's more than just a ledger, more than just a bookkeeping tool. There's probably more to payroll than what you've seen. And this is why it's so important. And invest in the software providers and just get ready for the future, especially when the future is certainly going to be more AI-led, and more importantly, spend less time on the books and more time on the things that you enjoy.
And there we have it. Couldn't say it better ourselves. So there we have it.
Finally, if you ever want a masterclass in how to write a 28-slide PowerPoint at 3 a.m. that you're going to present at 9, Chris Downing's your man. Chris Downing, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
If you like to see more of this content, you're in the right place. So make sure you like, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode of Get Sage Savvy.
We will. Goodbye.
Bye.